Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Yanks of the Cop. We are here for our weekly edition of Friday's Final Word. Open agenda episode. Go ahead and leave your thoughts, comments, questions, anything that you want to talk about. Go ahead and throw that right in the chat for us. And as always, hit that like and subscribe button so more Liverpool fans can see this channel. And we keep getting big guests like Robbo from Anfield Rap, James Pierce. As always, anything you guys can do to help, we really, really appreciate it. As always, we are your hosts, Steve, Sophie, and Wahomie. Andrew is off. He's doing a little bit of traveling today, so I figured we'd give him a little break. But we actually have a very special guest on the state side of things. He's actually been a good friend of mine for a little bit now, big Liverpool fan. Check out his YouTube channel, Nothing But Reds. They're growing super, super fast. He does great, great stuff over there. Watch-alongs, Sunday summaries, and always the pre-match, post-match reactions. But good man, Kyle. Kyle, thanks for joining us, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. You're gassing me up over there, bro.
It's what I do, man. I love your channel. We've kind of come up together, and it's been awesome watching you get blown up so quick and doing the good word for us Yanks over here across the pond. So definitely appreciate you coming on, and looking forward to a nice, fun episode today. But let's get right onto it. Chris Welch, as always, in the chat. Really appreciate you, man. Mr. Consistency. We love it. Hopefully the light will continue.
I've actually changed the timer on the lights to go off at 11:30, so I feel like I should knock it a bit later because I feel like it'll go off again.
It's definitely going to go off in this again. So, Kyle, if you don't know, Sophie has a little thing where her lights shut off mid-episode. So, sounds like it's going to happen again.
Nice. Little tradition.
And see if it happens again.
And who's that behind the stat? This is our good friend Steve Stubbs. He actually just launched his own channel. That's the name right there. So anyone who likes this channel, go check it out. He does Premier League predictions every single weekend. It's great content, so make sure to tune in. But to kick things off, I know we've talked about it a lot, but while we're kind of wrapping up here, hopefully this is the last time we ever have to talk about it, and that's just the European Super League. Really interested to get Kyle's opinion on this. We've talked about it a lot, and obviously, Kyle, so many different layers to it. Obviously, John Henry going behind everyone's back to secure this deal. Kind of throwing Klopp and the team to the wolves right before the Leeds match. Milner saying something after the game. Hendo with his, getting everyone to do the Instagram, Twitter posts. And then ultimately us withdrawing from the league. But I want to get your opinion on all of that. Like, what are your thoughts on just kind of that move in general, but then also how you stand with FSG right now?
It was a bold move, man. I don't think they thought it through completely. And I love the reaction of the fans and the players. Like, as you touched on, James Milner and Klopp, their response was amazing. Exactly what I hoped for. I didn't agree with the Super League at all. And I talked about this on my channel. I was talking about, like, if it was maybe like an invitational or like a FIFA Club World Cup format where it was like an additional trophy, then maybe I could get behind it, right? That kind of like yearly thing. But completely leaving the league and forming your own Super League, playing these teams week in, week out strictly on the basis of money to like grow the club that way, it completely just like the integrity of the club, it completely dismisses that. It completely dismisses the history, and I think it's just a slap in the face to the fans. I hated it. So I'm glad we withdrew. Going on to where I stand with FSG, I do appreciate the apology. A lot of people, I feel like, would disagree with me on this. I appreciate the apology. I think he came off as genuine, but I don't think he was genuine. I think he did that because of the backlash he got.
Yeah, we pretty much agree with you on that assessment there. I mean, and I think the biggest thing for me was the timing of the apology. The fact that the Twitter, Liverpool Twitter, like released a statement, not even apologizing, just saying, hey, like we pulled out of it, and then it was almost like a full 24 hours later until we got that video. The one thing I do give him credit on was that it was done on video. He didn't just do a script and like write something down. Obviously, you could tell he was reading from a teleprompter. You could see it in his on his glasses, but he did get in front of the camera. But another thing that kind of bothered me that came out today was the fact that Klopp mentioned that he and the players didn't get a direct apology. Like he did apologize to them in that little speech he gave, but I was really surprised that John Henry or even anyone from the ownership stake didn't reach out to Klopp and the players afterwards to also apologize. Like, Sophie Wahumi, what were your guys' thoughts on that piece too? Because I think that came out this morning. I saw.
Yeah, just quickly going back off his apology in general. Like, I completely agree with Kyle. Like, I said it when his apology came out. I appreciated the apology that he made 100%. It was bold of him to be, he was the only club owner who got on camera and made a video apology. So I really appreciate that. Took a lot of balls to do, especially since we were all so angry. But for him to act like he did anything in the European Super League in our best interest is farcical. It's an absolute joke for him to sit there and say, it's all on me, it was all my decision. It's great. But then in the next breath, turn around and say, the uproar in the last 48 hours, I've heard you, we've heard you, we've made a mistake, apologies. I was like, if you knew anything about our club that you have owned for a significant period of time now, you should know where our moral stands in this city and in this club, and you should know that that's something we'd never want to be a part of. We are a working class city with working class individuals who followed this football before Liverpool became a giant world club. Why on earth for a city, and I'm just going to bring politics into it very, very quickly, a city in the 80s that was decimated by the British government, who hates the establishment entirely. You think, hang on a minute, let's go and take it into a money-hungry league? That's not what we stand for. So he should never have to apologise for it, because he never should have done it to begin with. But with the Klopp not getting a personal apology, I think that's a bit of a slap in the face to Klopp himself. This man, you fought for him, you fought to bring him. It was a toss-up between United and Liverpool when he was signing from Germany. And he chose us because of the way we are as a club and the connection we have with our city and everything like that. And the first thing he does is refuses to apologise to Klopp. Essentially, that's all he's done. I think Steve's dial-up is gone again.
It doesn't matter where I am. I can be in Boston, I can be in Miami, and my Wi-Fi fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's dial-up, babe. I was just saying, to not apologise to Klopp after you fought so hard to sign him as your manager to begin with, and everything he's done for your club. You may have been the financial backing, but he's the one who's been, the mastermind behind it all. He's the one who's worked with recruitment to get the team. He's not just been a manager for the senior squad. He's had a hand in the under-23s, the under-21s, the young academy. He's been the driving force behind signing 16-year-olds. And you're saying that man's not worth it? I'm sorry, because they did that, announced it right before the Leeds game. He was the first manager to get absolutely railroaded by the press for this. The media had a field day with Klopp, expecting him to say something that would get him in trouble. And they threw him under the bus completely, and they can't even say sorry. And I tweeted it out literally just as he put out his apology video. And I just said, you're all kicking off because FSG haven't apologised. But when I was growing up, my mum always taught me, if you're not going to mean your apology, don't apologise at all. And I feel like part of me is like, I appreciate the video, but if you're not going to mean your apology, then you probably shouldn't have said anything at all. To be honest with you, you should have just shut off.
Yeah.
No, I'm not happy.
You should shush.
Where's the shush button?
It's coming. But homie, I want to let you get in here too and just kind of wrap up our ESL conversation, because I'm sick of talking about it this week.
I think for me, while I appreciate the apology, I think it was too late. He should have said something on the day rather than the following day, because it seems to me like it was a PR stunt. The apology. I don't think they understand the club, and I feel like Hogan or Tom Werner should step down, should resign, like Woodburn did at Man United, because I feel like I don't think one of them should be allowed to still run the club after what they've done. So, but I think it was good, obviously, for the players to galvanise as they did and show that that solidarity to be against the stupid Super League. But then I also feel that I think a lot of English clubs left because the money UEFA is offering them rather than the fans putting the pressure on. So I think that should be, if UEFA hadn't paid them off, then they would still be in it. So, but I'm glad it's over, and hope. But I don't think it's at the end of the Super League. I still think we'll be brought up again in a couple of years' time because it's just nature of the beast. It's been brought up so many times over the years. It's not going to just go away. It's still going to Madrid and Barcelona depend on the Super League to pay off their debts, and that's why it's not going to go away for them. They're going to bring it up again in a couple of years' time and talk about Super League. The same with Juventus. They needed it as well badly because they're not doing that well financially either. So that's the reason why all these three big juggernauts wanted it. So it's not over. And Perez will shout about it still. So he's not taking it lightly.
I mean, Perez's points though, like how tone deaf can you be? Like all of his explanation for the Super League was just pretty much like it was all money related. Every single thing he said was money related. And then when you look at the debt that Real Madrid and Barcelona and Juventus are in, it's like, yeah, no shit. And then one of his points was like, you're not going to see Mbappe and like any of these big teams sign big players because we don't have the money for it. And it's like, that's literally the sole reason why you wanted to do this was so you could go out and spend a ton of money this year and get your team better because your team's still not good enough. I know you beat us in the Champions League, but that was more because of our doing, not because of your doing. And just to get to some of the comments in the chat here, got a lot in here. So let's see. I want to start. Rev, thanks for joining, man. Always good to see you in here. Chris Welch thinks Super League is a load of nonsense. The fact that Tottenham was involved, don't make me laugh. Totally agree. Doesn't make any sense why they were even involved in that. But their trophy case is still loaded with dust more than it is with trophies. So FSG, these American owners don't know anything about football, trying to make it their own NFL franchise business. Yeah, and that's the thing. And I made a point on this too, and Kyle can relate to this, is all the leagues here, there's no relegations. And it's pretty much every single year, the same teams are on the bottom of the worst teams every single year are always the worst teams. When they get a good player, they can never keep the player. And the owners still make a profit. So they're never going to change because they know if we suck, I still have all that money coming in next year. Keep going on here. Zane, funny how they release this Konate news right before our game. They'll probably be hoping for fewer crowds. I think the timing of all that is definitely something we're going to talk on in just a second. So I really appreciate that. Chris Welchley did appreciate the apology on camera. Overstepped the mark for me. Yeah, I completely agree. I did think this was interesting that Arsenal might be the owner of Spotify is an Arsenal fan. He said that he would love to buy out Kroenke. So would love to see that. Absolutely would love to see that. But honestly, I think we've talked about this enough. The one thing I just want to end on with this comment is you kind of mentioned it, Wahomie. You think Gordon or Hogan should go. Really interested to get your opinion on this, Kyle. Do you think it's either time for FSG or one of the head executives, whether it's Gordon or Hogan, to step down? Because when you do think about it, I think FSG has been kind of up and down going into this, but now it's been European Super League, furlough decision that they reversed, project big picture, raising ticket prices. It's definitely time to at least have some sort of fan voice on the board. So what are your thoughts on potentially them having to sell the club? I mean, Klopp said he doesn't think they have to, but would you want to see them go? Would you want to see one of these guys have to resign? And then ultimately, I think we can all agree it's probably time to get some fan representation on the board.
So I agree with the last part 100%. Get some fan, representation on the board, at least so they have some input from someone on the ground. You know what I mean? Because like you guys said, they're not really in touch with the club. At least that's what their actions show. And for me, it's like you're right, they've been up and down, but they've also done a lot of good. And I'm just going to play devil's advocate here in terms of getting Klopp in, letting Klopp do what he needs to do. You can argue that, in the first couple of years, things were rocky. Under Brendan Rodgers, maybe some of the transfers didn't quite fit, but once they got Klopp in, maybe there was a little bit of an adjustment period. They got Klopp, things started going right. 4 trophies, right? They're letting Klopp do his thing. They're kind of hanging out in the background. So, in my opinion, get someone. This would kind of be the best of both worlds. You show the fans that you do care about their opinion by bringing someone on, a fan, onto the board, and then they can put their input in on all the decisions. That's my opinion. It might be an unpopular one, but that's just how I think, because I've grown in the time that I've been a fan to like FSG, and yes, I can't really relate to everyone over there, all the fans, how they feel, because it's a completely, and Steve, you can level with me on this. It's completely different when you're over there in the city. Like Sophie said, it's a working class city. They don't really understand what the fans have been through. So that's just where my point of view is on it.
Yeah. I mean, I can relate there. I mean, I'm in Boston, so I'm a Red Sox fan as well. And it's kind of the same thing. Fans here, you either like them or you hate them. There's no happy medium with them. They have done a lot of good, very similar. It's kind of like the same good that they've done with Liverpool. We have a historic stadium, Fenway Park, and in Anfield. And instead of getting rid of it, moving to a new place, they're trying to enhance it, make it bigger, make the areas around it a little bit better, and just a little bit more attractive and up to date, but still keeping that authentic feel and that old historical feel to it. So they're doing good there. Obviously, Red Sox bringing back Alex Cora is a great manager for us, but then they make some questionable decisions, like letting go Mookie Betts, who's probably the best baseball player in the league. And
I'd question that a lot.
Very questioned, right? And then here, like, not always investing money into the club to go get the best players that we know that we could be potentially getting. So fully get where you're coming from there, and I'm kind of in the same boat there. But Sophie, what are your thoughts? Should FSG have to sell? Should Gordon or Hogan have to step down? And then what's your thoughts on getting the fan representation in there? You're right there in there. So
I'm probably going to upset quite a lot of people with this. I don't really want FSG out. And I know everybody's jumping straight on the bandwagon of FSG out. They've done this, they've done the furlough scheme, they've done Project Big Picture, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, they've made mistakes. And then, on the other hand, yes, they've done really good work. But the grass isn't always greener. You can say, let's get rid of FSG because they're money hungry and they're greedy. We could end up with someone like Kroenke for Arsenal who doesn't put any money into the club. We could end up with an oil money club who completely and utterly ruins our history without even backtrack. At least FSG backtrack. Someone like, Man City's owners owning us, they wouldn't care about our history. They just go where the money took them. You had on Kendall last night on talking about the Saudi Arabian takeover at Newcastle and all that. I would never want that for my club, ever, because that ruins everything that we are about. So, no, FSG aren't perfect owners, and they're never going to be. But for me, there is a lot worse out there right now. And especially the world we live in now, people with that much money, they don't care. And I know FSG, you can argue they don't care either, but they must care some, because they're able to retract what they've done. They're able to, to kind of go, okay, let's not do that bad idea. Yes, they're driven by money, but they'll also kind of listen in the end to reason. However, we talked about Edward Wood standing down and resigning from Manchester United. Completely different kettle of fish for me. He's been a significant cause of concern and significant problems for Manchester United for a very, very long time. They've wanted him out for longer than they've wanted the Glazers out. I feel like asking one of our deputy directors or one of our main directors, etc., to stand down isn't going to solve the problems that we're having with the club, isn't going to solve the issues that have been brought up by the ESL. It's not going to make it go away. It's putting a plaster on a broken bone. It's not going to work. I completely agree with what Kyle says, and you need fan representation on that board. You need to have a committee. You can't just have your board of directors and your chairman. You need to have a third party board your committee. They don't need to be in every meeting. They don't need to be there, but maybe quarterly, 4 times a year, the board of directors come together with the fan committee, maybe Siphon Cop, all those types of people. The big names, they put the flags on the cop. They do a lot for the charities, the food banks. Get them on a board, on a committee, and they come in and they have a say. But I think there's going to be a very fine line, because FSG out, I saw your comments earlier where you said they should all step down and let the fans have their share. Now, I'm just going to bring it right back to Twitter quickly. How many times do you see people on Twitter acting like they could run that club?
All the time.
Exactly. So if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. If you're going to set this committee up, it needs to be with people who understand what they're doing. You can't just put any fan on there. You couldn't put me on that board. As much as I love my club, I'd be sat in that meeting going, no, you can fuck off. You can fuck off. It wouldn't be a good idea. I'm sorry, we're done, but okay. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. I will cry myself to sleep later. But there needs to be a committee for me, and there needs to be substantial fans who understand the run of the club, who have had links with the club, like the Siphon Cop, like the South Food Banks. They need to be on there and have a say and represent us as fans. But you can't give us too much, because we are run by passion. We are not run by business. We are not run by money. We do not understand expenditure. We are not business minds. We are football fans. I want to see my 11 boys on that pitch kicking the ball and scoring goals. I want to see transfers coming in. I want to see dead weight coming and going. I don't understand all the ins and outs of everything. So it needs to be a very, very fine line. But I don't think getting rid of FSG is the right answer. I really, really don't think it's going to be the solution that everyone's hoping it will be.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chris Welsh makes a good point. Like, who's going to buy these owners there anyway? And you made it too. Like, you don't always know what's going to be coming in the door. You could have a Mike Ashley come in the door, and then all of a sudden it's, oh boy, here we go, But well, homie, final thoughts.
The one thing I disagree with, I think the Man City owners have done amazingly for the city. They've absolutely revolutionised training ground, the area around it. They've done so much, Man City, in terms of improving the community. So I'd actually disagree. I think obviously Qatar human rights record is terrible, but I actually disagree. And I actually go back. I always felt that we should shelter DIC instead of Hicks and Gillett, because I think they would have been much better owners. And sometimes whoever you owner you're going to get, they're going to have some dirt on them, whichever one you're using. So you're not going to keep a squeaky clean owner. No one become a billionaire by not breaking a few rules. So whichever one you're going to get someone that's dirty. So to me, I would like one of those Arab ones to come by us, because they're the only ones that can actually give us the money to compete.
Take the button, please.
Oh, it's all right. I was literally just getting to that.
I would.
I love that.
FSG has some dirt on them, so I don't see.
And you think the Arab, Saudi Arabians, whoever, you think they wouldn't? You think that them run the club that? No, shush. No, shush.
They're for the team.
No, shut up.
They're for the team.
You seriously think that the owners of City who came in, when they came in, there was uproar by the City fans. They kicked the
No, I love them.
They love them now because the money. Shut up. The money they've injected into them has allowed them to win all the titles and everything. But they've been dragged through the mud for breaking football and regulations. They don't care. They have shell corporations, offshore accounts where they funnel their money and then funnel it back into the club through illegal means. I don't want my club associated with any illegal means like that.
Yo, Steve, your comment just geeked me out, man.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Peter is just our representative. They just hates footy. He just wants to come in and let us know. So this is one of those guys that Peter is he's a hit of the party. He's that guy who just everyone wants to be around, and you can.
What's really interesting is that on YouTube, you'd either have to search for it, or YouTube would recommend the video to you. So he's either watching football videos or he's actively searching for football videos. So really, Peter, it's your fault, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. He only has himself to blame there, but
yeah,
here we go.
And
go watch Bill play golf.
Oh yeah. One thing I do want to add, I completely agree. Like, it's not unprecedented to have fans' input about the structure of the club. If you look at like the NBA, the Utah Jazz, when their owner died, they put all the money into a trust, and the trust is owned by the fans. So the fans have a say at what they do with their arena, what they do with their team, like what they do with the GM. They have a say in it. Like, it's a very small market. And I think the same goes for Liverpool. Like, Liverpool itself is, yes, a big city. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. It's like a small market itself, the city itself. It's not like a London. You know what I mean? So, like, the same kind of thing applies. I feel like the fans should have way more input than they do. And I do... Sophie, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, FSG, they're not quick on the trigger. They're not impulsive. I think they do sit back and they kind of put feelers out. They're not like stingy may be the wrong word, but they are conservative with their money, with their business decisions. And I think they do take input from the fans, from like what the business side of things are. I just think sometimes the emotion you guys talked about, it takes over as fans. Like when one bad thing goes wrong, like it just hits the fan, everything. Like, and that's normal. That's understandable, which is why I kind of sit back and play both sides of the aisle. Like, I get why fans are upset, but I also look at what they've done for the club. And that again just goes back to my viewpoint on it. But yeah, great points from everyone.
Yeah, look at that. And you got some agreements in the chat here, Kyle. So hell yeah, there you go. But kind of transitioning now, I think we covered everything we can with the ESL, and everyone in the chat, you guys are on fire already. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Go check out Kyle's channel too, Nothing But Reds. He actually just dropped a video shortly about the Konate news to Liverpool, so definitely go check that out. Subscribe to him if you like us, you'll like him. But anyway, Wahome, I want to start with you because you've been hot on us.
Peter's still here, man.
Yeah, I love you find us boring, but you're still here. So obviously we're doing something right.
We'll take the view, baby. Thanks for coming in.
We're doing something right.
Engagement.
All right, we'll take the engagement, man. That means your boss is going to pop up on your feet again. So looking forward to seeing you next time too, my friend. But Wahome, you love talking about our center back needs. Quebec probably isn't good enough. Phillips probably isn't good enough for our team. What do you think of Konate coming in? Fabrizio pretty much confirmed that he's going to be coming in $30 million price tag plus whatever his wages are going to be. So what do you think of that as like kind of the start of the summer for us? How do you think he's going to fit in, and what are you hoping to get out of him?
I think he's going to be a great signing. That he's a physical specimen of a man, like proper beast, and he's got everything in his locker. Like he's quick, excellent passing the ball, dominant in the air, green in the game, and he's very athletic. He's one of those long list of those kind of like tall athletic players. He's what Sissoko would have been if he wasn't stupid. Sarko would have been if he wasn't stupid for us at centre back, but much more better player. So I think he's a fantastic sign. Obviously, a lot of people have concerns over his injuries, but that's been blown out of proportion. Like transfer market's not the best one to look at when they're looking at injury record. So he's only had one really bad injury. Then he came back early, got injured, which is natural when you have a bad injury, and he's been okay over time. And the reason why he's not played so far this season is because Leipzig, Mukulele, and people kind of kept him out of the team. Because they've had arguably the best defensive record in the Bundesliga. So that's why he's not played, not because he's not good enough. But I think he's going to be a great player for us. He's perfect for the Premiership, and he's got Champions League experience. And him next to Van Dijk is going to be one hell of a disgusting centre-back partnership. Or even him next to Gomez, he can play, and he can also cover right back as well. He's got it in him to cover right back, so he can play in a back three or in a four. So he's versatile too. So I think he's a fantastic player, and that's a great start of the season. But it has to be the start, not the end. That's for me. Like, it's not enough just buying Konate. We have to start it off and now do a chain reaction of other big players coming in as well. But it's a great start so far. But it's not going to make me forgive FSG.
Of course not. Of course, I can't make it that easy on him. But Kyle, I want to give you the floor here a little bit too. What are your thoughts?
Dude, Konate, I just think it's funny because, I remember a couple of years ago, I found this guy Konate, and I started watching highlights of him. And then, if you play FIFA, he pops up on your top center back scouting list or whatever. And then I started watching him. The guy is good. I understand the injury things with everyone, but when you look at the stats of what he's played this season, he's played 12 matches. The guy wins 81% of his aerial duels. 81%. Van Dijk is low 70s. Gomez is low 60s, right? That's insane. 81%. This guy's great in the air. So that's the first thing. Second thing is Matip. I'd love to keep Matip if he wasn't made of crackers. Right? So if Matip is going to be sold, we need to bring in someone else who's good in the air, okay? Because Matip's great in the air. You always love a Matip header, right? Yeah. Matip gives us that presence in the box. Gomez doesn't do that. I know Nat Phillips can, but I feel like Klopp's afraid to use him offensively in the box because then we'll get beat on the counter. You know what I mean? So, and then who's our other guy? Kabak. He's trying. He can't quite get it yet. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about Kabak, like if we're going to end up buying him or just sending him back to Schalke. Overall, I think it's a good investment because you look at him, I think he's 21 years old. 21 years old. This guy, 6'4", I think, massive. Like I think Wahomie said, behemoth of a man. Like he can just grow into one of the best center backs in the world, I feel like. And of course, that's my opinion. Anything can happen. Very happy with it, though, because normally Klopp goes after these like 24, 25 guys, like year-old guys. 21 years old, he has so much time, man. So much time. I love it.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest thing on him, too, is that when you watch him this year especially, he has made like some mistakes. Like he has a lot of confidence in himself with the ball at his feet. And, he can turn it over here and there, but I'd love to see that at a young age. He's only going to get better. I think he turns 22 in a month. So still a lot of room to grow. Then you think about potentially keeping a guy like Kabak, who's 20 right now. Joe Gomez, not even 25 yet. So, I mean, it's looking – we got 3 really quality center backs now, which is pretty awesome. But, Sophie, what are your thoughts on Konate?
I was made up when I saw the Fabrizio. Well, actually, I saw Chris O'Cott put it out first, and then I saw Fabrizio Romano's tweet, and I was like, "Oh, hang on a minute, here we go." So I'm made up with it. Like I wanted Konate anyway. I've always said we needed to strengthen that back four. We've seen it this season how much we do depends on Virgil, and when Virgil first went out, and we had obviously Matip and Gomez as a centre back pair, and we were like, "Okay, we're fine," but they're not reliable. They, as Zane put there, where is it? McDonald's ice cream machine is more available than them. And that's it in a nutshell, isn't it? Like, I love Matip. I think he's so, he's so good. He goes on those little runs a little bit like Fabinho does. He's very decisive. He can read the game really well. He works very well alongside Virgil. A lot of our defenders, most of them do work really well alongside Virgil. He pulls them up. But we need to start looking at future as well. We need to start looking at Virgil's not always going to be there. We know that,
Yes, he is.
I would love to clone Virgil for many, many, many reasons. But anyway, I love Virgil. We know I love Virgil. Sorry,
something was there. Anyway.
Sorry to my husband, but we're not going to have Virgil forever. We know one day it's not going to be there. We need to invest in a younger squad, and we need to invest in players that for now are young enough, but with enough experience that they can play alongside more experienced players like Virgil. I do feel that with Konate coming in, he would be our third choice in lineup for me at the minute. It would definitely, all boys fit, would be Virgil, Gomez, and then Konate. I think he'll need a lot of time to acclimate to the club and the style of play, and I feel like he'd start to pair up with Kabak, and I hope we keep him, because the more Kabak plays, he's only early 20. I think he's 21, something like that. He's very, very young. Very, very good player for his age. And I think people underestimate the skill set he is for how young he is. At 20 years of age, were any of us that secure with anything we were doing? Did any of us have an idea what we were doing? I'm like, no. He plays a really good game. And the more he plays, the more confidence he's getting. And a statement came out today where the longer he plays with the boys and the longer he trains with them, his confidence, his aerial duels, his willingness to take risks, he's starting to understand the Premier League a bit better and read the games well. And I feel like it would be very unjustified to just suddenly go, okay, gone. And, for 18 million, can you really, look a gift horse in the mouth for a player like that? So for me, it would definitely be Virgil and Gomez when they're all back, and then it would be Konate and Kabak as third and fourth choice. And I understand he can play right back, but I don't want a centre-back that switches between the two roles. If I'm going to want anybody covering Trent, I want them to be a solid right back.
Same. It drives me crazy when I see Joe Gomez go out there sometimes. I'm like, he's not a right back.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
Everyone uses that age-old shout as, once upon a time that, Gomez was a right back. Well, whoop-de-doo, at one point, Robertson was a striker. You don't want to put him in your front three, do you?
Gomez's first game played left back against some team in Australia. And I was like, what is this? I thought he was center back.
I remember that.
where it's like you train these players in these specific positions with specific tactics and routines, and they know how to read the game in that way. To move them even to left back, right back, it's a completely different role, especially for Liverpool. We know our fullback's bombing. He's out the basement.
I've gotten Ben. That's the first time I've gotten Ben Davies, but I can't tell you how many people, at least like 20 people, have commented on my videos before saying, you look like Nat Phillips. And I was like, I don't see that at all.
I don't really see that.
Crazy.
I don't see the Nat Phillips.
I look like someone, I guess. I don't know, but
I get Allison when I have a longer beard. I get the Allison one a lot.
100%.
But to stay with the center backs, it seems like the chat wants to kind of just talk about some transfer targets. I want to get to that, but one of the older comments here from our buddy Steven Stubbs, with Konate saying, do you think we keep Quebec and loan Phillips? Do you think Matip will stay a Liverpool player coming into the summer? Phillips has been excellent, so it would be harsh. And no, I think Chris Welch here, he had a point that he thinks it's going to be these 5 next year: Van Dijk, Gomez, Konate, Kabak, and Phillips. So, well, homie, I know you're shaking your head on that. So what do you think?
He wants Upamecano.
He wants Upamecano.
I think in an ideal world, we get his top quality centre backs in, Konate and someone else. I think Kabak's a lover in the making, and I don't see what other people see in him. I think he slows our game down. He's not very effective passer. Like, one of the big things when we played Real Madrid was the fact that our play at the back was so slow in terms of possession. And one of the big things Kabak can't do is he can't do switch balls. He can't break the press in terms of a ball wide to bring like Van Dijk to spread the play like we normally do. And I think I can see, yeah, he's okay, but the times that he's been caught out. And I get he's 21, but the same deficiencies he's shown here, the same deficiencies showed at Schalke. So, personally for me, I think the reason why we're going to sign Kabak is because we can get him a room for 8 million and not the 18 million. I don't think we buy Kabak with 18 million, the high fee. It's because we're going to get him lower because of Schalke, financial issues, and the fact that Schalke need money big time. That's the reason why we're going to sign Kabak. Not because if it's 18 million, we wouldn't buy him. And 2, I think because also Klopp's not going to be given the money to buy another good centre back. He ain't. Like, if you wanted to buy Konate in a DCC, we wouldn't be allowed the money to buy someone else. That's why we're going for Kabak. In ideal world, I would go after Konate and someone like Botman or
Kotakar
or the guy at Braga, Karma.
The Brazilian guy, right?
It's a C. Harpo.
I'd go for one of them, because even in January past window, buying Kabak wasn't our first choice. He was our 4th choice.
We had Chaletichar on the plane apparently.
Yeah,
and they called and said no, we don't have a replacement.
Because Kotakar, Karma were higher than him, and also, we couldn't get Konate in January. They weren't going to sell him. And Upamecano was going to buy him, but I'm glad we didn't actually get Upamecano in the end. But yeah, they were high on the list, so we just weren't able to get them. The FSG left it late, but I feel like that's ideally when the ideal world would do. But I think we're going to get Kabak because of that low fee, and that's why. With Phillips, I would sell him on, because I think look, while Phillips has done well for what he can do, he showed the limitations against what we did. He's not the level we need to be. Even as good as his heading is, he's not the level we need to be. And plus, I don't feel Phillips is going to be happy to sit around and be 5th or 6th choice. There's also rumours that he wants to play first in football. So I think he's gone in the summer. Matip as well. There's rumours that he wants to turn back to Germany. That he doesn't feel that he likes it here in England anymore. He wants to go back. So I think he's gone as well. Would I take it? What it is how FSG are. We're not going to have loads of money to spend. I'll take it. But I just feel that Kabak is going to develop into a Lovren type level player.
Okay.
Which is okay, but he's not. There's going to be times where, even when Lovren played, there are plenty of games he made mistakes in, we criticised him for. Big time. And Lovren's got the same. Kabak has the same traits that Lovren has in terms of lack of pace and sometimes against dealing with physical players. Because the majority of times physical players go up against Phillips rather than Kabak.
Okay, right. I was waiting for you to finish. I was so waiting for you to finish. So you're saying that we've had our feedback from?
I don't know why there's an echo. Anyway.
So you're saying that Kabak's giving you Lovren vibes. That's okay, and that's fair enough. That's your opinion. But you're saying that Canate is a much better player, much better with many errors. Okay, so let's go through some statistics. Let's just pick some out.
Stats that mean nothing.
Stats
that mean nothing.
No.
You can't go stats because 2 years ago, Sheffield United player, I can't remember his name. Sheffield United player had better stats than Van Dijk. You can't go by stats.
No, so let's just we are looking at 2 young centre backs who are the same age.
So one has been arguably the best player in Germany, one of the best centre backs in Germany. Kabak hasn't been.
So you will let me speak. So you will shut up and you will let me talk, and then I will let you talk. That is how it works. Okay? Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Shush.
I can leave. If you
I was going to say, want to step out for a second? Let's let them go.
I just want to say please, and then I'll listen to Wahumi again. But he winds me up on purpose every time. So we know that stats can be cherry picked, okay? I agree that Canate is a better centre-back than Kabak. 100% he is a better centre-back. But if we look at their statistics, so let's just cherry pick some. Successful tackles per 90-minute success rate, okay? Ozan Kabak has got a 79.6% successful rate. Canate has got a 47.3%, okay? Aerial duels in 90 minutes, Kabak, 61.2%. Canate, 56.5%. Interceptions, Kabak, 1.6 every game. Canate, 1.3. Fouls, Kabak does 1.2, Canate does 1.3. Clearances, Canate gets 3.7 compared to Kabak's 3.6. Passing accuracy, Ozan Kabak, 89.2% versus Canate's 83.5%. Passes completed, again, Ozan Kabak is better than Canate. And goals, obviously, Canate's got a goal compared to Ozan Kabak hasn't got any. So when you look at their statistics that way, they are pretty much even Steven or or Kabak is slightly better. And you've got to take into account the Premier League. You know, Canate is coming from, is it Leipzig? Leipzig. So he's coming from Leipzig. Again, we see what players who come from the German league, they struggle sometimes to adapt to the Premier League. You know, we've seen that happen quite significantly over the time. But for you to sit there and say that Kabak, you're not seeing what Kabak has done for this team.
What German players have struggled? So for Werner, he's a striker.
So do you want to go? So what about Naby Keita?
I was going to say
defenders. We're talking about defenders.
What about German players in general? They struggle to come and adapt to the Premier League because the Premier League is a much...
I can name you loads of German players that have come here to England and been successful.
Did I say where the words that left my mouth, all German players struggle? No, I said there is a significant number of players who come to the Premier League from the German league who struggle, and that is fact.
2.
Should sit there. So no, that's 2 for now. But if we want to sit there and go through a list of German players who struggled in the Premier League, then I will go and get you a fucking list later, and I will do the Upamecano tweets, and I will put them out there again for you to show you. But you can't sit there and say that Kabak hasn't had an impact this season. He came in and he has been a solid defender. He's a baby. Nobody would have put him in that centre-back line. No one. Klopp, if he had a choice, would never have put him in there. But he had to, and he stepped up. And yes, a lot of the players will probably target Phillips for strength more. Yes, Phillips is more likely to be the player that will slide in and tackle them. But if you've got Gomez and you've got Virgil, which one of those players is more likely to be the stronger player? Virgil. There is always a significantly stronger centre-back in a back line. There is always one who is the strong one, the enforcer, and there's always one who sits back and reads the game. And that's the way that Phillips and Kabak have been working. But for you to sit there and say his passing accuracy is shot, that his ability as a footballer is not up to par, and he's giving you Lovren vibes. Lovren put them in the own fucking goal more times than he put them forward. They're not the same players.
Lovren wasn't as bad as people make. One wasn't as bad as people make out to be, and 2, you're saying in what games are you naming those in? because Konate's obviously played less games than Kabak this season. So you're not obviously basing it on last season. You're basing it on this season. Konate's played less games. He's been out injured.
On an average
injured. Yeah, but you can't really compare that because Konate's played less games due to injury, and then he's been on the bench most of the time because of.
If we look at Virgil's stats, then are you going to say that Virgil's stats aren't accurate because he's been injured? His stats are still significantly higher because they pull them off games he has played. You can only base somebody's performance on what they've played. You can't sit there and say, oh, well, because he's been injured, he's not actually that good. He's actually better to play than he is. He's been injured. You base it on what he has played when he wasn't injured. When someone's not injured, if they can't make that passing accuracy, then they don't make that passing accuracy. But the statistics don't lie. They are average, roughly about the same. They are both young players who need development. They both need to be alongside a strong centre-back. But Kabak, to sign him for less than 10 million would be a bargain because he'd be a very good squad player. You moaned for weeks and months on end because we didn't have enough centre-backs. Because we had to use Henderson. Now we've got an ultimate amount of centre-backs. We've possibly got 5 or 6 centre-backs, and you're going, no, I don't want Kabak, I don't want him, he's Lovren vibes. So now you've got some centre-backs, you know, I want someone else. You want
Kabak in the first place.
Who's
I didn't want Kabak in the first place.
I want FSG to go money, and make
we had the money. Because cheap. We had the money. One, we had the money to buy the players in January we wanted. 2, FSG were slow as always and left late. That's the reason why we didn't get Kalatakar. 2, 3, I didn't want Kabak in the first place. He was my 5th or 4th choice on the list.
It doesn't matter what you want. It doesn't matter what you want. What matters is what's good for the team. Has he been good for our team since he came in? Has he been good for our team? Yes or no? Has he been good? Yes or no?
Against teams we have played. Okay,
yes
it's been okay.
Yes or no?
No, but when he's been tested and found out. When he's been tested and found out.
So is everybody else. Salah has been found out. Trent.
Yeah, Salah has cleared the bank. Salah has cleared the bank.
We've had
you can't compare Salah and Kabak. Salah has cleared the bank.
Shut up.
Can't compare.
We've had rival fans turn around to us and call Trent out, say he can't defend, he can't do this.
And we know
he's one of the best right backs.
Yeah, but you can't compare the two.
Sit there and say because he's been found out, that's bollocks.
You can't compare the two. One has created the bank for playing at top level. The other one hasn't. You can't compare the two. You can't put and say compare Salah and Kabak to the same. You can't compare the two in terms of
you
performance.
Can't compare the player because one's slightly more experienced than the other.
That's just not.
So by your
20 years older than Kabak. 20 years older than Kabak.
By your logic, we can't compare Thierry Henry to Salah because Thierry Henry was a much better footballer who played much longer.
I debate that with both much longer.
So when Salah retires, you can't compare them because Wahomey says that because he's more experienced, you can't compare them.
No, I'm saying you can't compare the two different levels. One has played at a high level for a longer time. The other one hasn't. 2 different levels.
Okay.
All right, we're stopping here.
We're
stopping here. We're gonna move on. You guys just went off on a rant there, and
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, we're never gonna agree on Kabak. That's for sure. And Steve Stubbs here is absolutely right. It's like the husband and wife show. Might as well just change the name of the show to that.
Wahomey knows I love him really, but he's wrong here. He's so wrong.
No.
They're so similar statistically, though. They're so similar statistically. Like if you look at from what I'm looking at, like the only difference is Sophie. Where were you looking at stats? Because I saw Konate was 81% aerial duels. That's the only thing.
Hang on, let me get it back up. I've just locked my phone.
And it's all good. I was just curious.
Yeah, I saw a stat on Twitter, and I've been trying to find it while they've been.
There it is. Comparing. And
I saw one. Okay. I saw one actually that was.
It compares all the centre backs, so it compares. Hang on, let me scroll through the advert.
Okay.
All of them, so including Virgil, Gomez. You can't see it because my phone's too bright. There you go.
Oh yeah, there we go.
So it's all of Liverpool centre backs.
Yeah, I was just quick, like one football, looked it up, and that was only. I don't know if it was since 2021, but it was just the 12 games Konate has played in this season. That's all I looked at. So
the stat that I saw on Twitter, and I've been trying to find it on my phone. I thought I liked it, but it was comparing Kabak to Kalatakar, and Kabak was significally better across all the metrics. I was actually shocked by that, to be honest with you, especially because he spent so much time at Schalke, who had a huge event with them with their fans backlashing now that they're getting relegated. But Other than that, there was a couple other things in the chat here I just wanted to get to in terms of transfers before we get to some fun trivia questions here. But and that was about Basuma as a replacement for Gini Wijnaldum. It seems that seems like all but certain Gini's going to be going out the door. You used Basuma from Brighton, keeps getting linked to us. You know, kind of a similar player, works great, works really hard defensively. You know, again, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing in a guy like that, but Wahomie and I agree on this one that I would love to see more of an attacking threat come in, somebody who can go get a goal, somebody like a Phil Foden type, a Gundogan type the City has, because we just don't have that goal-scoring midfielder right now. So, Kyle, what are your thoughts on that? Like the links to Basuma, and like, do you think he would be a really good Gini replacement next year?
Excellent Gini replacement. However, if we, like you said, if we wanted to look at going getting attacking style midfielder, probably not the guy. Probably not the guy. Maybe Houssem Aouar, right? Something like that. Someone that can push forward. Nabil Fekir was that guy, right? Not to bring the Fekir saga up, but Nabil Fekir was that guy, right? Coutinho was that guy. Keita was supposed to be that guy. He was really supposed to be the box-to-box guy. He just hasn't gotten in that rhythm. And then, of course, everyone forgets about Ox. Ox can be that guy as well. He just hasn't got to run at games. I feel like Basuma is a solid option. I mean, Gini's just turned 30, right? Basuma's 24, right? He's in, like I said, right in that sweet spot for Klopp. I like, from what I've seen, it's very limited. From when I've watched Brighton and when I've watched Basuma, I like what he offers his club. I like that he offers the work ethic. He can press. The worry for me is his strength. If we play a very physical midfield battle, you know, we've seen Fabinho can keep the ball. Gini's ball retention is phenomenal. He can hold off players. He's not the most technical guy in the world, but he can still hold off players. My question with Basuma is, can he do that? Because he's kind of tall and lengthy. But we'll see. To answer your question, yeah, as a Gini replacement, love it.
So,
I'm going to be honest here. I don't really know much about him as a player. He's not someone I've ever really looked at. So, honestly, I for one, super surprised. I don't actually have an opinion on whether he's going to be. I know. I don't have an opinion. I don't actually know whether he'd be a good Gini replacement or not. Oh, like, I love Gini, I do, and I think he's going to be a very difficult player to replace anyway, because as Kyle's just very, you know, put the nail on it, Gini's hold-up players, ball retention is outstanding, his work rate is, you know, second to none. That's a very difficult player to replace and replicate. They're not a dime a dozen, you don't get them all the time. You know, a lot of people in the chat are saying, you know, he's great in midfield, and I'll trust you guys' opinion. I've never really taken notice of him. But, you know, if he's actually a Gini replacement, I'd love him, you know, or someone who plays a similar style. But I don't think you're ever going to be able to get a carbon copy of Gini. It's like asking for a carbon copy of Virgil. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I want Gini to re-sign still, man. Like, I do.
You won't do it, though. Not
he
now.
was one of our most reliable center midfielders to start the season. We went through all those injuries and all that. He played great. I know his form has dipped down a little bit recently, but still, like, he's one of Klopp's trusted lieutenants for a reason.
The best ability is availability. He's always available. He's always available.
The Nabby stands. I keep the Nabby stands quiet real quick when you need that point up.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I like Naby Keita. He's got ability, but like, why does it matter how good you are if you're literally never available? And then, like, I know he got thrown into the wildfire against Real Madrid, but it's like, as a bench player, your job is to be ready when your name gets called. And getting subbed out in your first start before halftime is not a good look. Not a good look at all. So I think that's another storyline to keep an eye on. But I mean, well, homie, I know that you want the goal scoring midfielder too. I mean, would you be opposed to bringing in a Basuma? I know you had a little Twitter exchange with our boy Mansfield, but you know, just to share with everybody, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think he's the right player we should bring in. I think Basuma's very good in terms of, like, he's I think the one thing he has different than Gini is the fact he plays more. His forward balls, his ball progression is way more better and superior than Gini's. The amount of balls he plays forward, so he's a much more forward type of player, and also he gets more tackles than Gini, so he's much more of a. So if Fabinho wasn't there, one thing I've always felt that in terms of us this season is the fact that if Fabinho's not midfield, there's no one else in midfield that really tackles, has excessive tackle rate, or breaks up play, or has good ball recoveries.
Except Milner.
Milner, yeah, but he doesn't do as much as nowadays. Not even like in the Leeds game, the game kind of ran Milner past in the second half. Like he lost, and we were overrun that second half. Yeah. So I don't think we have anyone does it because like Gini doesn't really tackle that much, and Thiago, he's decent defensively, but he doesn't really tackle that much either. To the point, so there's no one else that really does that. If Fabinho's not there, except for Hendo. So I think in terms of that, Basuma would come in and help us break up play, tackle, and he'd actually boss midfield. So he reminds me a bit of like Sissoko we had when we were back under Benitez. For your ING, in terms of that pressing, the high energy, but he's much more better in terms of than Sissoko in terms of using the ball and progressive passes. But I think for me, this is quite different to a lot of people, and except for a few people actually, if have agreed with me. But I feel this is the chance to revamp the midfield. And as much as I love Gini, I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's gone down this year in terms of overall standard. And, a lot of people have as well. But I think, like, he's now only been played now because of Klopp's favouritism and also despite the owners because they're not giving him a new contract, rather than him being played because he's been playing well. And I don't think that's fair on other players because it's not, other players get dropped to their crap. But Gini starts when he's good or not. But going back to Basuma, as much as I think he's good, I would rather attack and play because I feel for me that's where we missed the season. A striker and a midfielder that scores goals or creates. Because there's so many times in games where we've struggled to create any chances. The games obviously where we miss easy chances, but the games as well where, you got the Southampton game, the Fulham game, where we struggled to create anything and we dropped big points in those games. And someone like a creative player or someone who I think in those games as well, it was when there were some games where we had Milner playing and he was the only one making runs into the deep lines into the box, and then we looked actually threatening because you had a player running in the box. So I would prefer us to go and get an attacking player like that that's going to help us break down. But I think that involves us having the money. So technically, I think we need two midfielders. I think we need a defensive and an attacking one. But I don't think we're going to get two. I think it's going to be a Basuma because of FSG aren't going to give us the funds to get two midfielders. Yeah. And they're probably going to, and I think they are trying to go big in the forward role. So that's where we're going to get Basuma. So I think he's going to be a very good player. He's top quality defensively. You can't argue with that. I saw him in the game versus Everton, and he was absolutely outstanding. Everton couldn't handle him. And I think back to our games versus Everton. If we had a Basuma in our midfield, we would look so much more powerful from a defensive standpoint and also from a control standpoint. But I feel that I would prefer an attacking one. But I just don't think we're going to get that. And we're going to go with what we normally do is we'll get in a Basuma and then we'll try and balance it out by saying we'll find it in the squad. And I don't think that's why I feel that Kate is not going this summer when he should be.
Right.
He should be moved on, but he's not.
Yeah, I completely agree. And just to kind of wrap that up, I think for me, it's ultimately what it comes down to is just when the forwards don't score, who else is going to score? We just don't have that guy right now. Kaito was supposed to be that guy. Ox was kind of supposed to be that guy. We just don't really have that right now. So I think it just adds another level, makes the defense, and especially whoever plays the 6 on the other team, to have to just patrol the top of the box and be wary of whoever's making that late run in. Hey, Thiago could be that guy. The problem is that we don't have Fabinho and Henderson healthy. Like, he looked great the 2 games that he got to play with Fabinho and Henderson.
Yep.
But also too, I still see Thiago as more of like a creative distributor, not necessarily a guy who's going to score 10 goals in a season or something like that.
Or assists. And he's never had that in his career where he's got loads of goals or assists. He's more of a Pirlo type player, deep line playmaker that creates, rather than someone that's going to get you. He's more like how Alonso was. How he used to say Alonso was the assist before the assist. That's what Thiago is. He's not going to be the one that's going to get you loads of assists, loads of goals. That's not his skill set.
Exactly.
Wait, I just want to bring it back without starting World War III. I'm not actually arguing with you. I just want to ask something without you biting my head off. Can I ask?
No, go ahead. Ask.
You said before that you think Klopp's playing Gini kind of like to spite the owners, type of he's playing him not because he's great in form, which we all know Gini's dropped in form, but just out of like blind loyalty type thing. But my question is, who would you play instead at the minute?
There could be anyone in some of the games. Like he could have gone with Thiago, Jones, Fabinho, put Davis at centre back. The issue with obviously right now is the Klopp wouldn't play Davis ever, so he's never going to play. So he could have done that way, or he could give Ox a chance. Ox has been crap, but he could give Ox. Ox hasn't played any worse in some of the games than Gini has when he's played poor. Could have Ox a chance. Could be Keita another chance. I heard Keita's been crap, but you could give him a chance. Give him another chance. How's Keita going? If we're going to keep Keita, how's he going to build up his self-esteem by never letting him play a game of football again? He's not playing at all. He will come off the bench.
I understand that, and I understand other players need game time. I do, but if Genie's able to, like as Kyle rightly said before, availability is the best thing. It's the best thing for you. If you've got an available player, it's the best ability of that player that they are always there. Genie is
always to play.
But I understand that in games, Genie does need dropping, and I completely will agree with you on that. There are games where Genie, I'm looking at him like a 50-minute mark, and I'm going, oh, please take him off. He's doing nothing. I agree, but my question is, at the minute, who have we got who we fully trust to come in that midfield, apart from Henderson? Just looking at our squad with the injuries we've got, who at the minute do you feel comfortable and trust one? Because I don't trust Naby to come on and make a big impact. We saw it in Madrid. I don't trust Ox to come on and make a big impact because he disappears in the game. He's too frightened to go into challenges. And I said it before, he needs to go to a team like West Ham where he'll play really well. He cannot play at our level anymore. And unfortunately, I'm sad to say he can't. I wouldn't put Shaqiri on. And some games, Jones, yes. Some games, Jones' skill set doesn't apply. And he's a very young player. And he needs a stable midfield for his development. He needs a Henderson on the pitch with him. He needs a captain. You can't put Jones in a midfield of Gini and Thiago or Gini and Fabinho because he hasn't got that manager. He hasn't got that voice. You either need to put him with Milner, which then obviously completely derails the midfield, or you need him on with Henderson. So if you haven't got Henderson, you can't play Jones just yet, in my opinion. So I understand needing Gini dropping. But from my perspective, and I'm probably sure from a lot of people's perspective and Klopp's perspective, who have you got that you trust to bring on? Who do you trust at the minute? And that's where we need another midfielder who can be in that role. More so, for me personally, we need another Genie type player than an attacking creative midfielder. I feel like what we need to bring in is maybe another forward who plays more like a cam role, but is in that forward line more so than a midfielder. I feel like the way we play football, if we drop a player like Genie, that's a big hole on that left side.
Just to snowball off that, like I honestly think that was the point of bringing in Thiago. Like, because Thiago, he's an older guy. Like, when was the last time we brought in a guy who's 29, 30 years old? I feel like Klopp thought that he was like, okay, this is the guy. This is going to be Mr. like, reliable, right? And maybe it's because we brought him in like the middle of this. No. We got him in the summer.
Very end of the summer window. Yeah.
Right. But he was injured for a while. So it seems like we didn't get him. I feel like we'll see the best of him next season. And we already saw Thiago got so much better once Fabinho dropped back into that CDM. I mean, good God, it was night and day. So I do agree. Like Sophie touched on it, like aside from Wijnaldum, other than Henderson, like maybe Milner, but like, what did you mean by like he derails the midfield?
So I feel like if Milner doesn't derail the midfield as Milner, I meant that if you drop Gini and you put Jones, Milner, and Fabinho, that's not a midfield combination that works for us.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, because Milner has a habit of tracking back on that left and allowing Robbo to make those runs and dropping into left back. That then leaves a very young, inexperienced player exposed alongside Thiago, who we've just rightly said isn't a tackling player. You know,
Right.
it exposes that midfield. It basically brings us down to one midfielder.
Yeah.
And they will target any team who comes up against us. If we played that midfield, any team coming up against us will go, right, okay, we know that Milner's going to go into that left and track back. We know Robbo's going to make those runs, but Robbo's not going to act like a midfielder. He's going to be creating those chances. Who are you going to go at? Thiago, who's not going to drop down, who you can outpace possibly, or are you going to go with Jones, the very young kid who's going to make a risky challenge and a risky tackle and probably get booked for it? Because that's what they do. They target him and they'd aggravate him, and I feel like that wouldn't work. So unless you play Henderson, Jones, and Fabinho, that would work. That would, because Henderson plays a very similar Gini type role. You know, he's a hold, but he's a captain. That's what's needed. If you've got a very young player coming through the ranks, you need your captain there to support him. You can't bring a young player into a squad that's been derailed the way we have this season. It's not fair. And I understand there will be people who are saying Jones is a raw talent, Jones is amazing, and I think he is fantastic. And in pre-season, I had so high hopes that he was going to play lots this season. But you've got to think of the longevity. It would be so cruel and unfair to put him in this season and watch him be dismantled rather than just hold him back, let him develop with the team. And then next season, when we're fully fit again, start integrating him properly. I think it has to be done right, especially if you want to keep this kid long term. And that's why I said you can't go in a midfield with Milner. It would completely derail that midfield. They would target that kid.
Who said we play 4-3-3?
What?
Who said we play 4-3-3?
Yeah.
The way you're talking about is a 4-3-3 based on a 4-3-3.
Yeah,
Who said we
that's
play
what
4-3-3?
we play. That's the normal formation that we play.
It is, but Klopp has done 4-2-3-1 enough times. Thiago for me was 100% bought for 4-2-3-1. He was not bought for 4-3-3.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's why we're not. I think if we switched to a 4-2-3-1, and there were plenty of games where I felt we should have done that. Like I think, for example, in the Madrid game, Klopp got the whole lineup the first leg wrong.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
He got it totally wrong, the formation wrong. And I think if we'd gone with different formation, we'd come out a different result. But I get what you're saying in terms of, I don't trust Naby or Keita either, you know. But I do feel that sometimes, for example, in Lee's game, I thought Jenny should have come off at half time. We were overrun. He was only touching the ball 15 times that game, and he had no tackles that game. Yeah, he see that the whole game. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I completely agree with you on that. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that at this season, at this point where we are with our squad and our development, I can understand why he's reluctant to take Gini off. And I think everybody will be able to say they can understand why. You might not agree with it, but when you look at the squad the way we are, and I've said it many times, I do prefer the 4-2-3-1. I think we play a lot better football recently with that formation, and I prefer it. But we all know that Klopp reverts to a 4-3-3. That's what he might change it more to a 4-2-3-1 next season when everybody's back, and that would be great. But for right now, the here and now, we are averagely playing a 4-3-3. That's what we play with a high line at the back. It would be unfair to put Jones in, and that's just my opinion. I just think right now it wouldn't be right, and I think we're not going to see the best of Thiago until next season, and we're not going to see Jones properly until next season. We're not going to see a lot of our players at their peak, at their best until next year again. And, you know, when we play a 4-2-3-1, I'd love to see Jones integrated more into the squad, and I'd love to have another midfielder that we could trust. But for right now, the here and now, there isn't anyone for me that I would trust. Even when Gini's flagging, I'm sat there going, well, look at the bench. Who can we bring off the bench who isn't going to make situation worse? And that's why I understand why he keeps Gini on. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand it.
Mm-hmm. Not a good point. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens this summer. Get a healthy Henderson, Fabinho, hopefully, Van Dijk, Gomez. It's going to be think the team will be a lot different next year, even with some of the same bodies. We're not going to see a lot of the same problems, but it's going to be interesting to see how everything unfolds. 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, any incomings. Definitely have to keep an eye on that. But we're running at 70 minutes here, so why don't we go ahead and close out with some trivia, which I know everyone loves. Everyone loves here. So, Kyle, I'd like to close out, ask everyone a few questions, get their feedback on the chat. Do you guys have any ready to go? I have one off the top of my head, but I don't know.
I got a few.
No, you want me to kick it off? So, all right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this today. I saw. Hey, there it is. The light goes off. The light goes off.
It went off, but I put a light behind this time, so it'll stay on.
No way. That's crazy.
It's consistent. We love it. All right, but the one I wanted to ask was if you guys had a preference over bacon or sausage.
Ooh.
Because I saw a tweet today from somebody out in England that was saying like bacon, something about bacon sandwich. Would you rather have red sauce or brown sauce? And then I was just like, oh wait, is it bacon or sausage? That's the question.
So by itself, the answer is bacon. On a sandwich, the answer is sausage.
Wow.
Sausage.
Me.
No,
Sausage.
sausage.
Don't like bacon.
It also depends the kind of sausage, because you got some crappy sausage links out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I honestly, I completely agree with Kyle's assessment. I think it's bacon if I'm just eating something, but then if I'm having like some eggs and some cheese on there, give me sausage all day long. Give me sausage all day long. Zane, to answer your question here, Kyle's channel is right in his name. It's nothing but red. So go check it out. You're right in his name there. You'll see it right in there. Go ahead, go give him a subscribe.
All right, then.
What do you got, Soph?
Just to go off that one, then you mentioned the red sauce, brown sauce. If you're having a bacon butty, what sauce do you put on it? Red or brown?
So that's the thing is out here in the States.
Don't say ranch. Don't say any weird American sauce.
I was just gonna say we really only put brown sauce on like steak and that stuff. Like if we're having like
like A1?
A1, yeah,
Okay.
They have a different. I think it's HP sauce for them is what it's called. I think, but yeah. Usually for us, it's either some sort of like aioli or it'd be like a red sauce.
No, it's red sauce. What, Henry?
Ketchup all the time.
Oh, yes. Knew I liked you for a reason. No, it's red
ketchup
sauce.
bomb. It would definitely be ketchup for me too. It wouldn't be the brown sauce. No.
Ketchup all day.
But what about this? Your go-to favorite dessert?
Ooh.
Carrot cake.
Carrot cake.
Okay.
Yo, where's the hot take thing?
Yeah, right. That's definitely a hot take with carrot cake.
No, carrot cake's good though.
I don't like carrot cake. Weird texture. I don't like it. It's not good.
Strawberry shortcake, probably.
Shortcake.
Yeah,
that's a good one. So I think for me, it's always been cheesecake. But I have this new one that's coming in right now, and it's starting to approach cheesecake for me, and that's like pecan pie.
Pecan pie. I don't think I had that.
No, I've never had that. I think that's a very American type thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's probably American, but yeah, it's good. Or pecan pie, pecan, whatever the hell you want to call it. But what do you got, Soph?
Definitely an ice cream type person. Like, love ice cream. Mint chocolate, and people are going to read me to filth for that. But mint ice cream is by far the best ice cream.
Mint chocolate chip?
Yeah.
Yes, I will agree with that assessment.
Oh, I thought you were going to disagree with me. I was
no, it is. It is the best. Yeah.
It's the nicest ice cream. Like, I can sit there with a whole tub of mint chocolate ice cream and just eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it, and then I'm like scraping the bottom of the bowl, being like, oh.
And let me ask you, does it make a difference what shape the chocolate chips are?
Yeah, definitely the little cone ones.
Exactly. I knew I liked you.
All right. If you put the flake on it, let me ask you, you know, with the some mint chocolate ice cream, like we're going on a full-on debate here. Right, with chocolate sauce or without chocolate sauce?
I can do either or, honestly.
But which one do you prefer?
Oof. I'm on the spot. Just thinking about it now, probably none.
I like you. You were homie. This is what happens. People should agree with me.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of people agreeing with you in the
Look at
chat.
your ego.
Mint ice cream's amazing. What is that demonic creature in the background? What you mean you can?
He's trying to fuck with you. Chris Welch says you can't have bacon on its own. On its own in sandwich needs to be with something else. Yeah, I agree. That kid must have been crazy to have just a bacon sandwich. But I mean, I would do it if I had to. Don't get me wrong. But definitely egg or
4
something
seeds
else in
bacon.
there. Anything else? Any more in there? Maybe one more to close out.
Yeah, I've got one. If you could choose 3 dead people to have dinner with, famous dead people, who would you choose?
I'm so glad it's 3. Most people usually ask, "What's one famous person, you dead person?" So that's cool. That's good.
3 famous dead people you can have for dinner.
3 dead people, huh?
They have to be dead. Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how long in history you go.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
God.
excellent question.
That's a good one.
I felt like I should have been given this question in advance. I feel like I needed time to prepare for this.
Yeah. No, that's a really good one.
Henry VIII. Because I'd be really interested to see that, speak to that man.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King.
I was gonna say that. Okay, that's good. That's a good one.
Yeah. So Henry VIII, Martin Luther King, and Freddie Mercury.
My mom would love to hear you say that. She loves Freddie Mercury.
I just want to get him to stand there and go, "Mama!" I just want him to sing it. I just want him to sing that at me. That's all I want. Bohemian Rhapsody sang at me constantly.
Oh man.
But yeah.
All right. Honestly, so Martin Luther King, that was honestly the first one that came to mind. Probably Thomas Jefferson. I know that's a weird one, but Thomas Jefferson for me. And then I had one. Oh, Elvis Presley. Yeah.
King of Rock.
That's just off the dome. If I had more time, I'd probably pick better people. But
Yeah, I thought that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Well, homie, what do you got?
Do me last. That's the right one.
Oh,
all right, I would say probably I was gonna say Muhammad Ali would be on my list because I would just love to hear all the stuff that he dealt with in his time. Probably Bill Shankly would be number 2.
Yeah, no, we're bad, Sophie. We're horrible.
We are bad Liverpool fans, aren't we? I'm the fucking Scouser.
And then I'd probably say as my 3rd. I'd probably say Martin, either someone like Martin Luther King, or maybe somebody like Winston Churchill, somebody like that, who somebody who had to be a leader in a major war. I think that would just be kind of interesting to hear, something like that.
Like Roosevelt, maybe, or something like that.
I feel
What's
like
that?
Roosevelt, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Roosevelt, somebody like that. Even Washington.
Sure.
Anything.
I think I go for Prince.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Malcolm X.
Okay.
And because I was a big John Wayne fan, Western, so John Wayne.
John Wayne.
Yeah, I love Western.
Can I just say quickly, when I was at college, my A-level, I took history at A-level, and my history teacher, we were doing civil rights in America, and he was all for Malcolm X, and I was all for Martin Luther King, and I got into a massive argument with my teacher because he wouldn't accept that I preferred.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, right.
No way.
But when Wahomey says, "Oh, Martin, Malcolm X," I'm sat there going, "No wonder we fucking argue all the time."
No
I've
surprise.
got a bonus one here. Bonus one. Which band or artist would you have play at your funeral?
Ooh.
Ooh.
I feel like, can you do one happy and one sad?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Make it a little bit easier.
Songs or
just artist or band to play a song, just a one song for you.
All right. This may be a weird answer, but I feel like y'all might understand. If I'm going sad, I'm going Sam Smith. That man can flat out sing. Yep. All right. So him, and then maybe Blink 182 or something. I don't know. Upbeat. I don't know.
I love that. I love the Blink call.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tough. I think for me, I would say a Kid Cudi.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Kid Cudi for me.
I think for me, I would go Happy Song, Bob Marley, bit of reggae for me.
That's such a good
a sad song.
Never Walk Alone. Good call.
Oh my god, we are just the worst fans.
I thought that. I was like, no, that's too cheesy. I really wouldn't play that at the funeral.
No. I think a sad song, I'd probably go for something like Whitney Houston, because I think she does a few sad songs.
Crushes.
Okay. 1892 Reds podcast saying Slipknot.
Our boy over there.
No one said the Beatles.
Somebody said the Beatles. Yeah. Aunt Deco here. He said the Beatles.
I think if I was going for a sad one, I'm actually going through my Spotify here, like trying to find something. I think I would have to go with Salvation by Gabriella Alpin. If you've never heard that, it's like really depressing. But it would suit a funeral. And for like a happy one, just to make people laugh, I'd whack the YMCA on.
I see at your funeral.
I'd be that type of person to be like at the end when everyone's really sad and crying, just like getting to whack the YMCA, so everyone goes dun, dun, dun. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna do that as my coffin's coming down, like dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Love that. Well, this has been a fiery episode, to say the least. It's been a lot of fun. The chat, you guys were on fire as always. Super appreciate it. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe to the channel if you've been this long. If you suffer through the Sophie and Mahomey husband and wife fight, you definitely deserve to throw us a subscription for that. And please, if you haven't yet, go check out my man Kyle here's channel, Nothing But Reds. He's doing some great work over there. So please go ahead and tune that in. If you like us, I mean, you heard him today. He's pretty awesome. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. But Kyle, thanks for joining us, man. Bunch of fun today. Can't wait to do it again soon.
Dude, I had a hell of a time. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the show Sunday. Yep. I'll be there Sunday. Maybe Mahomey will join. Who knows? But I'll definitely be there. It'll be great. All are welcome.
I will not join because I will not get into another fight.
Everyone in the chat, we'll be back tomorrow for the usual pregame stuff. An hour before, we'll do the lineup, team news. We're going to be doing the live watch along again. Kyle also does his watch alongs. You doing one tomorrow, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm going to set it up to force myself to get up on time.
There we go. Yeah, it's 7:30 for us here in the morning, so it's going to be pretty early. But tune in for that. And then, as always, we'll have the post-match reactions. I think we got Jay Coley joining us from the Cop Bite as well as Redmen TV, right? Or homie?
No, he's coming. He's going to come on for Man United one.
Man United. That's right. Sorry.
He's away on holiday, so he can't make it tomorrow.
Right. Well, that'll be another guest for down the road. But everyone in the chat, appreciate you guys. They can subscribe, check out Nothing But Reds. But we'll see you all tomorrow, folks. So thanks again for tuning in. Have a good night.
Up the Reds.